All right, it is Figgie and the Moose on this Tuesday right here on Pix 11 Plus. Good Tuesday, one and all. Tough night for both the Mets and the Yankees, Figgie, as we're a couple of days away from the MLB trade deadline, July 31st, 6 p.m. Eastern time. We'll get into that, delve more into that as the week obviously goes along. But the Yankees just 6 hits in an ugly loss at home against the Tampa Bay Rays. Let's start there. I mean, Aaron Boone can talk about his offense, and we're A-OK even without Aaron Judge and number 99 on the field with Luka Doncic. Before the game, and him getting interviewed on the Doncic is getting interviewed by the Yes Network during the course of the game. Let's be honest. I mean, the Yankees scored 2 runs early on 2 bases loaded walks. The offense stinks. It is terrible. Judge made up for a lot in that lineup. And that was a Rays team that was going backwards, Figgy. This wasn't a Tampa team like Toronto playing their best baseball of the year. I mean, they were going backwards. I think they were sitting there 10 games out of first place in the American League East. And last night they walked into Yankee Stadium. The Yankees looked lifeless offensively, and now they've got Max Fried on the mound tonight.
Yeah, Ray's team who's selling off some pieces on the peripheral. As always, they do some random things like that where they're still within contention, but they start selling off some pieces and find some gems. They always do that. They've done a tremendous job over the last decade or so of being able to compete with the huge market teams, even though they barely fill up a stadium at home. This has been like the most fans whenever they're playing in Tampa. The 8,000 capacity is usually the most fans that they've seen anyway, even though it's not a bigger ballpark. But that team kills you. It's like death by paper cuts. They don't go at you and bombard you with home run after home run hitter and after home. There's not a lot of swing and miss. These are guys that put the ball in play. They play the game an old school style, small ball, keep the line moving. Defensively, guys that you've never heard of, DeLuca making a fantastic catch in the gap there to end the Yankees threat there in the 9th. They do a lot of things very, very well, and they've done it for a long time. So you have to show respect, and they always like to go up against the big bully in the Yankees and prove that they can stand toe to toe with them, and they've done that for years now. So it should be no surprise. You had a rookie pitcher out there for the Yankees. He did fantastic to a point where you could see the inexperience come in. You can see trying to make pitches in big situations when you have to go to your secondary stuff. You can't blow fastballs by everybody. It just doesn't work at the major league level. And then when you look at the offense, lifeless. I mean, 2 walks with bases loaded is the only way you score runs, and that's Rasmus, who I think remember he had a game of his life against the Yankees, and that had Tommy John the very next day after pitching in Yankee Stadium. So maybe there's a little bit of something in the back of his head there, trepidation, but he didn't pitch very well. But this is what the Yankees are going to be. McMahon looks like he's turned the ship at the right time. Over his last 12 games, he's batting over 340. Continues to get on base with the Yankees and has done well enough to get on base. But nobody's going to be able to get him over and get him in. That's always going to be the problem with the Yankees, especially the bottom of that lineup.
Yeah, and now the question is for Cashman and company, what are you going to do come July 31st, right? Would you pair guys off that are going into, free agency? Would you pair Trent Grisham off?
I think you would almost have to at this point, right? The writing's on the wall of what's going to happen in 10 days. You don't have 10 days to wait for Aaron Judge and see if it could work out. I honestly think if you're going to stay with the youth movement, if you're going to stay with the younger guys, and then a guy like Grisham could command you something back in return. You could get something nice for a guy who's left-handed bat and defense plays. So I could see that happening.
You could see that happening, right? If you have no interest in what you have to do is you have got to be creative. There's a story out there, maybe potentially moving Trent Grisham and going out there and bringing back a guy like Harrison Bader, right? For the stretch run, right? Doing something of that nature when you have no interest in investing, say, as an organization into Grisham long-term. That would be, having a little foresight if you're the New York Yankees. And for all the Yankee fans out there that scream and holler that this is a Boone problem, this is Listen, I understand he is not, Miller Huggins, Casey Stengel, Davy
Taylor
Johnson.
Huggins.
He's not one of those guys when you're looking at in terms of as a baseball manager, Figgy. Like I get it, but he's the modern day manager. This is a talent problem. This is not a manager problem. Like you look at it, this is a case of how this team was constructed, how it was put together by the baseball people within the organization. More a case of as this team, looks like we're inching closer and closer to the Yankees potentially not making the playoffs. I mean, that's now part of the conversation. Think about where we were 6-7 weeks ago and where we are right now, sitting here on July 29th. It's in the realm of possibility that the Yankees could not make the playoffs in the American League. I mean, think about that, because
that's shocking.
If Judge is on the IL longer than just 10 days, which in all likelihood he probably will be, you're looking at a scenario here where how do the Yankees make up for his loss in that lineup? And what are they going to do over the course of the next 2 days? They're going to be able to stem the tide, stop the hemorrhaging a little bit, because they're playing bad baseball right now.
Yeah, and you have Max Fried on the mound, who has been the stopper for them all year long, other than the Toronto game, which had 4 errors in it. And you don't see that every day at the major league level, including his error trying to, get the guy at home leads to 2 runs. You only have Max Fried. It's pretty steady. He had looked down a couple of times at his blister last time. So, that's going to be a reoccurring thing. That's something we talked about when they signed him. He's had blister issues, elbow issues, things of that nature. And he's trying to pitch through it because he knows how valuable he is to this team and what they're trying to do and where they're trying to go. Yeah, that is the stark reality. I was saying the other day, I remember a few years ago when they still had DeGrom with the Mets, there was a stretch run in August that they were going to be playing the Dodgers and the Giants and 2 other really good teams for a stretch of like 12 to 14 games. And the realist in the room had to look at the schedule and say, I know we're only 3 games back, but we could really be 10 games back here if we only win half these games and the other team, it was the Braves wins their 7 of the 10 games. We could be 10 games back and then we're really out of it. So what do we need to do? We got to start, maybe not go all in, get some things around the edges. And we saw them do that. You don't think that you would ever hear that from the Yankees, or that would be a move that you would be okay with. I don't think Yankee fans would be okay with that. Honestly, I don't think that they're ready to cash it in, because you would hope that the sum is greater than the one guy that's your savior. You should have 24 other guys that can figure out a way to win major league ball games. The Yankees didn't get to the World Series all by themselves. Yes, Aaron Judge had a big part of it. Yes, Juan Soto had a big part in it, but they still had to do things around the edges. You had to have pitching that got you there. Their starting rotation was great in the first half. Their bullpen was rock solid. And then, they still got to the World Series. You have to figure out a way to stop the way that this team is playing. But I think it's an organizational thing. Like you said, it's up and down. It's if you look out at the field, I talked about this yesterday. On Sunday, and I'm not sure, I didn't go through it yesterday, but all but 2 players for the Mets were homegrown. All but 2 players for the Mets were homegrown. And I don't think we acknowledge that or give that enough credit for what they're doing and the direction that they're moving. And to top that off, they still have 6 prospects that are on the cusp of playing in the major leagues, and you're going to see and hear their names for the next foreseeable future. You know what I mean? So only 2 of the players were signed to was Lindor and Soto. Other than that, everybody else was homegrown. And we always look at, the Yankees, they're built different, and the core 4, that's not where we're at anymore. We tried to throw the new core 4 at the guys, right? With Dominguez, Volpe, and Wells, and Luis Gil. We tried that. It didn't work. It's not working. And so I think the Yankees have an organizational problem. It's not just a Boone thing. Boone tries to paint everything rosy red and tell you that, the ship isn't sinking, even though there's water up to his neck right now. Yeah. It's a different time for the New York Yankees, and definitely Yankee fans aren't used to.
No, not used to it at all. Very uncomfortable. I gotta be perfectly honest. Don't like watching this. Last night was a tough watch in the Bronx. There's no question about it. Mets had a tough night out in San Diego. We'll get into a little Mets baseball. We'll do that next. It's Figgie and the Moose on this Tuesday right here in Pix 11 Plus. All right, right, welcome back. It's Figgie and the Moose right here on Pix 11 Plus. Marc, Malusis, Nelson, Figueroa with you. Hopefully everyone out there is having themselves a wonderful Tuesday, Figgie. Last night in a loss, I'll say this, tough loss for the Mets. 7-game winning streak comes to an end. Didn't go down without a fight. I think the positive you take away, the fact that they tied the game in the top half of the ninth inning, the Vientos home run that gave them a 5-1 lead, the fact that the Padres walked McNeil in front of him to get to Vientos, and then he hits a towering fly ball over the right field wall. That, to me, is a massive positive. We talked about it last night on Sports Nation Nightly in terms of there's been rumors out there. I think Martino had the report. Others had the report that the Mets potentially could move Marc Vientos here before the MLB trade deadline. I personally think it would be a mistake. I really do, because I do think deep down, even with his struggles, he's still young. He's still in his early 20s. Like, I still think that player we saw last year that had a ridiculously special run, not only in the regular season, but also in October, I think that's real. And I think last night, even in a loss, and it was a tough loss, you're going to look at that home run and and say to yourself, if that gets Vientos on track, I'll take the loss.
Yeah, it took him a little while to get going after he came back up from Syracuse and the injury. And, we were like, oh, my God, it's still the same guy. He's still swinging big and missing. But you're starting to see him round into form a little bit. We're seeing more consistency from his at-bats. We're seeing him hitting the ball harder and harder, especially the other way. And that's something that a pure power hitter, when they know that they have that amount of time to lay back on a 98-mile-an-hour fastball and drive it the other way out the ballpark, not once, but twice. Well, Tatis did bring the other one back, but I mean, he had a chance at a 2-home-run night where, that's 5 RBIs right there. And you're saying to yourself, okay, Marc Vientos is on track to kind of be that player that we expected him to be. He can't change what happened in the first half of the season, but he has to give himself like small goals as we move forward. Small goals of just the way that his at-bats are looking. They're looking better and better. He doesn't look so confused or overmatched or like he's guessing. And I think that plays a part in all these trade talks, because you've got a logjam now. You got a logjam of players. Mauricio, the last 2 nights, has hit these home runs, these big home runs for the Mets. And the talent that he has. That this guy is a switch-hitting, talented player, even though I think he might give up the right side. He's 3 for 28 or 29 batting right-handed in his career. But from the left side, undoubtable, was some of the biggest pop you've seen in a Met uniform in quite some time. When he gets a hold of them, I mean, it's special. So which one of these guys are you willing to give up? Because that's what teams are going to ask for. They're not asking for guys around the edges. They want these guys that are proving, if you give them some opportunity at the major league level, these guys can be some a valuable asset down the road. And I think if you're the Mets, do you stand pat with the 3-headed monster that you have in Beatty, Mauricio, and Vientos, or do you go for it? And, we saw Suarez got hit in the hand in the 9th inning, came out of the game. X-rays negative, thank goodness. We saw him get hit in the All-Star game as well. He played through that. So you hope he's okay. Do they take that kind of a swing and give up one of these 3 guys to get a Eugenio Suarez? Because you can still DH. You can still DH one of them, right? You can still DH Vientos. You can still DH against righties, lefties. You can play with the kids and let them DH against them and have Eugenio Suarez in there. I think that's something that we have to start. I mean, if you're David Stearns, this is such a different day, as we just talked about with the Yankees. Like, you have so many options, so many things that are palpable. This isn't a pipe dream. This isn't, we hope to have sustainable success and we hope to have, some prospects that we can go to. I mean, they've gone through 39 pitchers already this year, almost 40. And you're still seeing, and you haven't seen the top guys, right? We haven't seen, like, the Yankees' number 2 prospect is Schlittler, and he pitched he's pitched 3 games in the big leagues already. We haven't seen the Mets' top prospects. We haven't seen them. Like, their top pitching prospects are still down the minor leagues, getting some seasoning and ready to hopefully make that next step where hopefully not this year, but next year they're fighting for an opportunity. But the Mets are built, I think, with that idea. And Vientos is a prime example that he went up and down in the minor leagues, wasn't given much of an opportunity with the previous regime. and you just kept seeing the numbers jumping off the page at the AAA level. And we saw it last year, and it wasn't just the home runs. It wasn't, meaningless home runs. It was big time home runs. It was big, in the moment home runs, like last night's was. Huge grand slam, puts them ahead. And unfortunately, Brazoban is, I keep saying that they need another right-hander reliever. Brazoban is lost right now. He's just a mess. He's all over the place. He's been that way for the last 6 outings. His ERA in the month of July was over 6 going into that game, and you can imagine now with 3 more earned runs in less than an inning. But the Mets have it'll be interesting what they do. I don't know. I don't know if they just sit pat because I feel like they're still built well enough to win, but you do want some help. You want to see the front office do something to help bolster the staff.
Well, I would say this: if not now, when? Alonso's probably going to opt out after this season. His future uncertain. You've got the starting rotation now healthy. You need to add to that bullpen. You got to go out there and go. We can talk about prospects. It's more of a logjam than anything else, right? Make a decision. Yeah. 80, Mauricio, Vientos. If not now, when? And you're going to have to give to get. And so it's going to cost you a little bit. The Mets have not won a World Series since 1986. It's 2025. I mean, if you've got an opportunity, you go out there. And here's what I would say, Figgy, is you mean to tell me you're going to go out there and sign Juan Soto for $765 million in the offseason? You're going to play the long game, or you're going to work on the edges? Go attack. I mean, go attack like the Dodgers attack. The Dodgers have no issue, making trades for Trey Turner and then losing them in the offseason as he signs with the Philadelphia Phillies. They have no issue going out there, adding starting pitching last year at the MLB trade deadline. And
that saved them. They didn't even have Jack Flaherty. They had nobody in the postseason.
They had nobody left. So go out there and add. Now's the time to go out there and do it. You've captivated the imagination of this city. That's why I think it would be foolish if they didn't.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I absolutely agree. And I think, we talked about last year with the OMG movement and the chemistry of that team. And it was just, different where they kept them, there was a cohesiveness to that team. This year, actually, it was pretty funny that OMG did them in last night because Iglesias scored the winning run. But it's been more than just gimmicks, right? We talked about that before, how last year it was, sell. They had all the first pitches, they had all the promotions and all that thing. Now it's just been winning baseball. And it's been a style. It's been a style and a culture. We've talked about the identity of a team. What is the identity of this team? Well, this team, we haven't seen this team 1 through 9 all hit in the same game. We've seen the top half carry a game. We've seen the bottom half carry a game. We've seen Soto go 0 for 4. We've seen Soto go 4 for 5. We've seen a gambit of different things, but this team still finds a way to win. There's a multitude of ways that they can beat you. And I think that, yes, it would be a shame because I look at Baltimore a couple of years back where they had this young team with a bunch of budding stars and they didn't add at the deadline. And they wore down and they got to the postseason and they got ran through very quickly. And that was it. The Orioles' big run, their dynasty that they were building lasted all of half a season. That was it. So, they're sitting on those guys, and all they're doing now is they went from guys who were batting in the 300s or high 280s. All of a sudden now they're all trying to stay afloat at 200, and as a team, as an organization, they're back to square one again with a bunch of young guys that now they're getting pennies on the dollar for if they tried to trade them right now. So I think the Mets do have the resources to do it. I'm trying to figure out what would the big move be that they could get. I think a frontline starting pitcher would be phenomenal, but more than just a rental. Of course, bullpen help.
We know Lindor and Soto and Alcantara from the Marlins, and he potentially.
They wanted him back in May, but after a 6.6 ERA the rest of the season.
I know. I understand that, but maybe it's a case of you put them
make them happy.
Situation. Yeah, make them happy and stuff like that. But we'll see exactly what the Mets do. You and I are of the age where we grew up. We used to watch Siskel and Ebert. Used to review movies, right? I have not watched Happy Gilmore 2 yet on Netflix. Premiered last week, Thursday or Friday last week. Adam Sandler, Happy Gilmore, legendary movie. It really was.
Correct.
Happy Gilmore 2. Would you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
I got to go sideways with a thumb. I got to give you a sideways thumb. It started out strong. It starts out strong. There's a ton of cameos in it. A lot of different actors, a lot of different people from, throughout all the Billy Madison movies, all the Adam Sandler movies, guys make appearances. The golfers, the PGA golfers making their acting debuts. It's really fun. And when you get to the climactic scene, it's not number one. It's never going to be number one. We never thought it would be. I just wanted it to be good enough to be mentioned in the same breath. And I'm not sure if it is.
What was better, Happy Gilmore 2 or Coming to America 2?
Happy Gilmore 2. Coming to America 2 was one of the toughest watches because you wanted it to be good. You really, really did. You really, really did. Because again, that was one of the movies that if you ever want to just smile, if you ever are feeling down about yourself, go pop in Coming to America and you just smile all throughout the movie and you say all the lines, you remember all the lines. So I'm gonna have to go. Happy Gilmore 2 was at least on that enjoyable scale, whereas Coming to America 2 was like, oh no, come on, this can't be.
There's a point in time where too much time has passed where you really can't go back.
Right. And I think they tried to do that in Happy Gilmore 2, where they gave a bunch of flashbacks to the different characters, like, oh, that's who that was. Oh, okay, now, and piece it together for people who maybe didn't see Happy Gilmore 1. And maybe they would go back and watch it. So for me, it's still a fun watch because we waited so long in anticipation. But just the ending, we've seen the ending before, and the climactic battle that it leads up to was just too much.
By the way, you have a beautiful home. I just want to let you know that. Beautiful.
Thank you. I'm sitting in the East Wing right now. The West Wing is covered in
the Figueroa shade is amazing. It really is. Knock them straight today, all right? Knock them straight.
You got it, brother. All
right. For Nelson Figueroa, I'm Marc Malusis. Make sure to check us out. Sports Nation Nightly later on tonight, 7 p.m. on Pix 11. We have all the local sports covered. Have yourself a wonderful Tuesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow.